Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3 at gmail.com on PayPal. Or else you can look me up on YouTube and like and subscribe there, where you'll see the videos that get banned on other social media sites. And you can also scroll down to my created playlists, where you can see the videos that I watch when I'm not posting on YouTube and TikTok, and X myself. This one here is no more excuses as the EHRC single sex guidance comes into force. Official statutory guidance protecting single sex spaces has now come into force after lengthy delays. An amended version of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, which I think that we should leave, by the way, Code of Practice for England, Scotland and Wales was approved in May and completed parliamentary scrutiny last month. The guidance, which applies to services, public functions and associations, has been updated to ensure compliance with the Supreme Court's ruling that sex in the Equality Act of 2010 refers to biological sex. Separate guidance for employers will be published at a later date. Also, by the way, I think the Equality Act of 2010 should be abolished also. Clarifying the law, the document states that if a service provider or a person providing a service in the exercise of public functions admits trans people to a service intended for the opposite sex, then it cannot rely on exceptions to sex discrimination laws and may be acting unlawfully. This means that if a service is provided only to women and trans women or only to men and trans men, it is not a separate sex or single sex service under the Equality Act of 2010. In relation to the Act, it specifies that a person's sex remains their biological sex, regardless of whether they have a gender recognition certificate, which I totally agree with. Updated policies. Women rights groups for Women Scotland said today that obfuscation and delay must end and services must ensure that policies and training align with the law. The Women's Rights Network posted on X, no more poor excuses, adding, we look forward to reading through the new policies that will be published today. The Sex Equality and Equality Network, seen in health stated NHS trusts and health boards, have always been required to comply with the law. The updated code should not leave no doubt about how the law applies in practice. Can we now see NHS SE England updated policy on same-sex accommodations for patients, and when will it be published? A government spokesman explained this is a complex area affecting millions of people, businesses and service providers across the country. That's why we took the time to ensure the updated guidance is clear, robust and legally sound. He continued, the code has now come into force and we welcome the clarity it provides. Yes, this is a good outcome for people who believe that there is only two sexes and that they're assigned by birth. And for a long time, transgender men and women have been allowed into their prescribed sex after transitioning, which was a travesty, which meant that grown men, even though they had transgendered to women, were going into women's and girls' bathrooms. And in the instance of Leah Thomas, she was a US swimmer who was something like 500 and something in the rankings when he was swimming as his own sex male. But when he transgendered to be a woman, he was winning every race that he could. And he was in the changing rooms changing with the other women, and the other women were horrified to see him standing there in all his maleness with his tackle hanging out in the female changing room, which is absolutely diabolical that any right thinking person could let this happen. Women's bathrooms are there because women like more privacy than men. Plus, the women have to sit down in the toilets, so I believe that there should be male and female toilets in every space. Because unfortunately, us men have been known to be dirty buggers and normally piss around the seat, and the women have to go into the bathrooms and sit in that, which I think is disgusting. And finally, the government has come up with the right idea of male and female bathrooms, and they're leaning away from this same sex or intersex bathrooms or whatever they want to call them. And all these, the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights and all, Britain should not be signed up to any of these radical institutions. We should stand on our own as the Great Britain that we are, and not be hooked up to the European Union and its based views on sex and mostly everything else. Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.